This is, I repeat, not parody. Not parody. Anti-cop liberal violence prevention activists. What even is that? Keep committing violent crimes. What are they up to? What kind of violent crimes are they committing? Let's get into it. Here we go. Violence prevention advocate. What even is that? Is that even a thing? And then if you're beating people up and accosting other people, are you really an advocate for violence prevention? No, it doesn't sound like it, right? You're just a moron with a progressive cause. And that's what so many of these people are. We're also going to cover some of the crazy stuff that happened at the Charlie Kirk Turning Point USA. And then also Black Lives Matter. They've got their you-know-what in a little bit of a ringer. Yeah, I got some lawsuits going on there. Several violence prevention advocates racked up violent charges in 2025. Shocker. Big shocker, right? After promoting what they were considered innovative, compassionate responses to crime in liberal cities. Wait a minute, but they just added to it. Progress comes at a cost, right? It's all very progressive. Got progressive ideology here. Oh, we've got progress just coming out the ass. Four such activists are charged with murder or assault in Philadelphia, D.C., Flint, Michigan, and Chicago, while another in Rochester, New York, upstate New York, is serving 2 years in prison for assaulting a police officer in January, according to multiple reports and court records. All right, so we got murder, we got assaulting a police officer in January. I mean, these people, so hypocritical. All of these activists, I say, anybody that is an activist, anybody that's a progressive, I think we should register them just as maybe like pre-criminals, because that's what they are. If they're not committing a crime right now, they're gonna be. So let's just go ahead and register them. Let's go ahead and tax them and let's register them. You know, let's crunch their freedom of speech just a little bit because they're violent. They're violent. And we want to keep them away from society because clearly they're violent people with violent tendencies and violent ideology, even though they call themselves violent prevention activists. We're living in the down under, people. The 5 men's so-called violence prevention tasks often involved street outreach or beating people up. Yeah, okay. Or nonprofit work in Democrat-controlled areas affected by high crime rates. And you know what always kills me is that in the areas that have the highest murder, the highest amount of people running around shooting each other, they also have the greatest amounts of gun control laws on the books. How's that working out? Well, you just got a bunch of numbnuts like these folks here. They're just running around shooting each other. It's okay to shoot people. It's all right. I mean, it's all good. That's what I learned in my hood. All 5 had run-ins with law enforcement before their latest charges. Oh, I am shocked. These are not the good boys and girls that they purportedly are. Oh, we're violence prevention activists. Yeah. What a bunch of horse crap, right? Kellen McKiller was arrested in September in Chicago for a deadly burglary. Doing a little violence prevention, and on the side, we got the sideshow of deadly burglary. Days after posing in a picture next to Democrat Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker. What? I don't believe that. Violence prevention individual doing a deadly burglary and then standing with Governor J.B. Pritzker? Oof, that's not good. Optics on that they are not good. McMiller, already wanted by authorities in 4 states, robbed a Louis Vuitton store on September 11th and then crashed a car into another driver while fleeing the scene, killing him. Well, that's perfect. And yet he is somehow a violence prevention advocate. Okay, all right, I'm getting the idea here. McMiller and his 6 accomplices face murder and theft charges. McMiller's court date was postponed until he could be released from a hospital because he got effed up in the wreck. Pritzker's event celebrated McMiller and others in the governor's peacekeepers program who try to stop violence in the street. Okay. It's folks like these that we need more of doing the hard work of community violence prevention. That's not an accurate statement. Not troops on the ground to undermine efforts fighting crime. No, actually, you need more troops on the ground because the folks that you're promoting are committing crimes themselves. We're reading it. Pritzker said in an X post about the event, referring to President Donald Trump. What a bunch of crap. You got to look at your own communities first. What's going on here? You got a bunch of Looney Tune criminals running around because you got a justice system that doesn't really put people in prison like it should. Yeah. All right. Anyway, Metropolitan Peace Initiatives, one of the private groups leading the peacekeepers, said it would reevaluate its vetting process after McMiller's latest arrest. I think you need to vet everybody in this industry because oftentimes, when everybody says they're an activist, it just means that it's a cover for breaking the law, whether it's embezzlement, some kind of violent, killing somebody, running into somebody, killing somebody on the road. I mean, it's not good stuff. I think it's just an opportunity for us to get better at what we do and continue to strengthen our protocols and standards. And then every now and then, taking somebody out, because that's what they're doing. Violence interrupter. Washington, D.C. Attorney General Office highlighted Corey Wynn, a D.C. native, on its website in 2020 as a symbol of second chances via its Cure the Streets program. You can see where this is going. Wynn became a full-time violence interrupter for DC's neighborhoods after serving 10 years in prison for what he called wrong choices. No, for breaking the law at a felony level. That's what you did. And you probably still belong in prison. Apparently so, right? Wynn now stands accused of helping a gunman plan a 31-year-old's murder at a D.C. smoking lounge on September of 2023. A shooting that injured 3 others, court documents show. Wynn was allegedly seen on surveillance video surveying victims' dead bodies and signaling the gunman to leave. A court is holding Wynn in custody without bail. But he's a violence interrupter. It's like Joe Biden's Inflation Reduction Act, that all it did was produce inflation. It was an Inflation Production Act. Sleepy Joe, just not really there. The libtards that run these big, blue cities and big blue states, they're hiring these people that are just complete trash that belong in prison. Defense attorney Brian McDaniel, who claims the police's evidence is circumstantial. Well, we got video here. Oh, there's a dead guy here. Get the F out of here. Get the F out. Defense attorney did not respond to the Daily Caller. He's smoking that hookah. He's not trying to kill anyone, McDaniel said in court about the surveillance footage in June. He's just smoking that hookah and drinking and occasionally talking to a young lady. What a bunch of crap. Nah, he's involved in, some serious felony action. Let's move on. Here's an interesting quote. Keeping them locked up in the Federal Bureau of Prisons, often thousands of miles away from their families and friends, will not make us safer or stronger. No, I got to disagree with you there, Shorty. It does make society safer and stronger because you don't have a bunch of ridiculous criminals running around impacting people like these folks are. Harm de-escalation tactics. Philadelphia police arrested Sergio Hyland in April for allegedly shooting his girlfriend, a mother of 2, in the head and dumping her body under an overpass. That is violent. Wow. Philadelphia Inquirer reported the self-described hood abolitionist. He's abolishing the hood when he's not busy murdering his girlfriend and then just discarding her body, just absolutely treating her body like trash. Mother of 2 children. Had a website advertising speaking engagements, legal consultations, and violence reduction prevention services that involve harm/de-escalation tactics. Now, maybe he should have used some of those when he was shooting his girlfriend, a mother of 2, in the head, and then dumping her body under an overpass. Maybe he should have thought about that. What do I do when I get in a situation where I want to shoot my girlfriend? There is Sergio Hyland. He was a criminal justice advocate for the leftist Working Families Party in Philly, pushing to end mass incarceration and endorsing District Attorney Larry Krasner for re-election. I bet he was. This is before he was charged this month with gunning down a mother of two. Let's take a little look at that, see what we got. You can't save our children by putting more people in prison. No, you can. You can. Let's keep going. Hyland served prison time for murder before emerging as a prison abolition activist. He credited grassroots organizers like himself, not police, with driving down shootings in Philly. Okay? The activist's attorney, Shaka Johnson, told the court in June that there was no solid evidence against Hyland after prosecutors presented phone records, witness testimony, surveillance footage of Hyland near the scene, and phone calls where he mentioned possibly going back behind bars. Now, why would that be? Why would he be going back behind bars in prison? Because he murdered somebody. Oh, okay. Whew, that's not good. There's no question that Mr. Hyland is a returning citizen from a previous incarceration who has amended his behavior tremendously and turned his life around. Kinda. Johnson reportedly said after hearing Johnson did not respond to the Daily Caller's request for comment. Hyland endorsed far-left Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner. Yep, I bet he did. Pathways to Peace. This has got to be good. Anthony Hall formerly ran Rochester's Pathway to Peace program, which the local police accountability board touted in 2020. It's one of the city's alternatives to traditional policing. He stepped down in 2023 to lead the Community Resource Collaborative, a nonprofit that received taxpayer funding to help prevent crime and recidivism in Rochester. However, Hall was locked up in January. What? Hall was locked up in January for shoving a cop so hard it caused an upper body fracture while police were responding to a domestic dispute. That doesn't sound like preventing crime and recidivism. Sounds like beating up a cop. What's wrong with these people? Boy, these people are just animals, aren't they? Just animals. Hall was reportedly sentenced to 2 years in prison in April, not just for the assault, but also for, get this. This guy is just a sweetheart. Defrauding a nonprofit between December 18 and September 19, while he spearheaded Pathways to Peace. Any of these activists, I think you need to register as probably sex offenders and then violent criminals, just, proactively. Let's identify them for what they are, which is not good for society. Separately, a probe by Democratic New York Attorney Letitia James' office found that the CRC hoarded federal funds for staffers' personal expenses, paying $20,000 to Hall. The court ordered the nonprofit to dissolve days after Hall's January arrest. What a bunch of just criminal activity. Leon L. Alamin, a Flint, Michigan now, city councilman, founded the nonprofit Money, Attitude, Direction, and Education Institute. Money, Attitude, Direction, and Education Institute. What about nonviolence? What about throwing that in there? I'm just asking for a friend. In Michigan, to help ex-inmates like himself find a better life through workforce development. How about not accosting others? What about we promote that as well? Social advocacy, urban farming, training, and research, and a bunch of other bullshit that obviously did not work. He previously served 7 years behind bars for drugs and weapon crimes. Shocker. Democratic Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer passed a clean slate program in 2020 that expunged his record. Prosecutors charged El Alamin with domestic violence and assault in July for allegedly brutalizing an ex-girlfriend in a neighboring city. A court released him on bond that month with a GPS monitor and no contact order. These recent allegations are both false and deeply disheartening. But I remain confident in the truth and in the legal process. Seems to be a theme here where these convicted felons just basically state, I didn't do it. Didn't do it. My legal team is actively handling the matter, and I feel intent to clear my name and win this case. Nah, you're going back to prison. You're going back to prison. Off you go. Off you go, you liar. El Amin criticized mass incarceration in a 2024 social media post prior to his most recent arrest. What an actual loser. Okay, here we go. Here's the AP lands national scoop on a Black Lives Matter fraud investigation. Shocker. Black Lives Matter involved with fraud? Oh, oof. In a textbook collaboration between two AP reporting teams, AP scored a major scoop with the Black Lives Matter movement. Following a tip, Aaron Morrison, news editor on race and ethnicity, led a collaboration with law enforcement editor Mike Balsamo and Justice Department reporters Eric Tucker and Alana Durkin-Ricker to verify that Black Lives Matter activists were under federal investigation over allegations of fraud involving millions of dollars in donated funds. No, I don't believe that for a second. A bunch of lunatic progressive activists get like $100 million sent in by a bunch of virtue signaling white rich people, and they commit fraud involving millions of dollars in donated funds? Yeah. No, Black Lives Matter they've been in trouble. Even when they were collecting funds, they were known as buy large mansions, right? Remember when they bought that $6 million home? Well, it's either going to be a safe house for people being chased around by imaginary, people persecuting them, or it's going to be a content creator's house. And, no content ever came out of it, but they got a $6 million mansion, right? By the time the story was ready for the wire, Morrison had drawn on his prior AP exclusive reporting on the movement to add historical context and details about a connected nonprofit foundation. The organization at the center of the story came to Morrison first to deny any wrongdoing, a reflection of the trust he had built. And here's another adjacent story. Justice Department investigating fraud allegations in Black Lives Matter movement. AP sources say, and here's that story. I mean, Black Lives Matter, just from the top down, corrupt. And I think they're taking their piece when they can get it. Oh, we got a bunch of money that came through. Let's take it. It's ours. We'll worry about the other stuff later. Because some of the stuff I've seen with these organizations, I mean, it's criminal. I mean, it's outright criminal. Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation denies in a statement to Capital B that they are the target of a federal investigation. Here's that same thing. Hey, what'd you guys do? Nothing. We will prove our innocence. No, you won't. You're guilty. You're guilty 7 ways from Sunday. Oh, no, we're not. This is racial injustice. Oh, this is just injustice. What a bunch of crap. Bloody brawl erupts at California's UC Berkeley protest ahead of Turning Point USA. Let's watch this video. These are the far left activists, right? This is Antifa and Trantifa. More far left organizations that incite violence, that are incredibly violent, could break a lot of laws. Let's just see what's happening here.
So I just got to the Charlie event, and there's literally so many unhinged people here already. Like, look at that. Look.
That's a car backfiring, by the way, and it really wigged people out.
This is the liberal view. What the?
Yeah.
This stuff conservatives have to deal with because you have unhinged liberals. This is the we're dealing with. Genuinely insane.
Yep.
What's wrong with people? This is genuinely
ideology. What's going on here? Oh. Yeah.
Break it off.
They got one. They got a progressive. I got a far left right in here. I got one. Throw him in jail. Let's hog tie him. Let's hog tie him and throw him out back. These people, such trash.
Yeah.
You know what's so interesting? Let's just watch this out. That bus going by. Handful of people were arrested at that because it got so violent. So violent. So, there's kind of a short synopsis of what the far left kind of is working on, a bunch of violence and then beating people up at a peaceful protest that wasn't quite so peaceful. And then you got a bunch of violence reduction activists out committing very violent acts, including murder. Murder. Some wild stuff. Wild stuff. That was an interesting story. Just, here's all these guys. Here's what they're doing. Here's the criminal activity they've been up to. And then Black Lives Matter, it's kind of a given that they're a fraud. I mean, they're a domestic terrorist organization anyway, right? A few billion in damages after Fentanyl Floyd died. Crazy stuff. And then how about all these people that have been holding up signs? Where has that gotten them? Like, what has that accomplished? Nothing. Do they not understand that they are just straight up mentally incapacitated when they're out there with these signs? Because it doesn't do anything. It does nothing. Protesting like they're doing here on the Charlie Kirk thing, it doesn't do anything. It just makes you look bad because you look like a numbnut. And that's what the far left looks like consistently. Just a bunch of numbnuts running around, sometimes in furry suits. Like the costumes were a thing for a split minute down in Portland. I'm not even watching that anymore because it's just so, all right, and somebody else got arrested. Okay, perfect. Just a bunch of lunatics running around playing grab ass and then banging each other in their furry costumes. I mean, that's literally what the far left is comprised of and does consistently. Just a bunch of grab ass and weird stuff. All right. We're going to cover it. We're going to keep covering because it needs to be exposed. These people are absolute lunatics. Make sure you're subscribed, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you on the next episode. Thanks for joining in. Bye for now.